Hello, Yearbookers. Welcome back to episode number 3. This is the second half of episode 3 of Yearbooks Live, talking to you about today about what you can expect once you've selected a yearbook company. So we're going to talk a little bit about sales today, strategies for advertisement, and a whole lot more. So sit back, relax, and let's get into it. Next thing on your list to look for is make sure you plan your advertisement sales strategy. So advertisement sales means a lot of different things, and it can have a very positive impact on your school budget by allowing local businesses and organizations, parents, students, and teachers to personalize a portion of your yearbook. I want to make sure you set up a campaign with a specific start and end time, as well as a goal for how many pages you plan on selling and how much money you plan on raising. Keep in mind, every dollar that you add in advertising can help reduce the cost of your yearbook. Make sure to set up a detailed campaign that addresses both business sales advertisements and personal, student dedication, senior ads, those types of things. Make sure you're putting that all into a plan. We're going to talk a lot more about this in a future episode. Next, develop a theme. What's a theme? So this is a unifying attitude of the year captured by the yearbook itself. Select a theme that can tell a story about what makes this school year so different and unique from other years. Tell a story woven through the yearbook in every single section. Choose a theme that everyone can identify with and relate to. It can make your yearbook easier to develop and much more interesting to look through and to read. Be very creative when you're developing a theme. Theme development's really important, and it is something, again, that we'll talk about a lot more in an upcoming episode. Next, start thinking about the design of your cover. Once you determine your theme, you can then begin designing your cover. Make sure you review pricing and various features and specialty treatment options so you can develop a budget. Keep in mind, the more you add to your cover, the more it's going to cost. Foiling, embossing, debossing, etc. is all going to add money to your yearbook. Your yearbook cover will create the first impression that will set the tone for the rest of the book. So I always recommend make it the best you can. Make it exciting, make it fun, make people want to open that yearbook. There are many cover options that will make your yearbook unique, but the most expensive features don't necessarily mean the most outstanding cover. Start with sketches or mock-ups of potential designs. Check pricing again. Don't forget to be sure that you're within your budget. If you have questions on pricing, I always ask you to talk to your rep as soon as possible. Don't start getting these really crazy fun ideas and then realize all that work for nothing because we can't afford it. Again, we'll discuss a lot more on cover design in the very near future. Next thing you want to do is you want to decide what's on every page of your yearbook. You want to create a page ladder that shows what's going on, what pages that you're including all of this information on. Best thing to do is to review last year's yearbook as a guideline or previous years. Maybe you didn't like the way it was designed last year, so you'll know exactly what not to do. But most people kind of follow the same guidelines each year after year. Your ladder will help you determine how many pages to give each section, like sports, portraits, organizations, academics, advertisement, student life, all that good stuff. It'll also help you organize the sequencing of your sections to give you a nice flow for your book, and it can be used as a checklist during the year to help track your progress. Start with the page ladder while you work out changes, and once you've determined the final outline. Put it on a big wall ladder so that everybody can see it. Do it in pencil or do it in dry erase marker because you're going to constantly be erasing this. We'll go ahead and discuss a lot more of this page ladder creation, again, in an upcoming episode. Next thing you want to do is start collecting your photos. Start organizing your events that you need to be at so that you can collect and start taking these photos. Begin collecting images as soon as possible. Use a digital camera that takes photos of at least 8 to 10 megapixels in size just to be safe. You may not use them that big, but you never know. Make sure you're having all major events and important functions photographed for proper coverage. Don't forget things like the first day of school, football games, baseball games, prom if that's going to be in your book. Don't forget to all of these different events that are going on. Make sure you get a list of clubs and sponsors that are in your school and get Even coaches, don't forget coaches, and get a list of all those events that they have going on and make sure you have a photographer there. And if you can't have a photographer there, make sure that someone within that club can take some pictures for you for the yearbook. The more coverage you have of more events is going to develop more interest in your yearbook. We'll talk a lot more about photography in a future episode as well. Hopefully you can get started on your yearbook journey with some helpful information that we gave you today. We'll be discussing many of the topics we talked about today at length in future episodes. We want to thank you so much for listening to our show today. We also want to thank our sponsor, Yearbook Life, at yearbooklife.com. We hope you'll stay with us for all upcoming episodes. We ask you to tell your friends, subscribe, and listen to us again at yearbookslive.com, where you can receive show notes and some other helpful information. Be sure you listen to us on Google Play, iTunes, and anywhere you can find us on a podcast. Next week, we'll be discussing staffing and how to best select the staff and what duties your staff or volunteers can perform. Should be an interesting show. So until next week, happy yearbooking.